At one point, I'm sure we all have wondered, what really is activity theory? According to Russell, we are always engaging in collective activity because human behavior is social in origin, and thus human activity is collective. Activity can be widely distributed in time and space and is mediated by complex networks of tools. In order to look at this, he explains, we should use an activity system, or a functional system of social and cultural interactions that constitutes behavior and produces that kind of change that we call learning. In an activity system, a subject interacts with tools over time on some object with some shared motive to achieve some outcome. Activity theory views context as a functional system rather than a container. Russell presents the different parts of an activity system as including the subject, an individual or group engaged in activity, the object, the material or space on which the subject acts, the motive, the object or focus of activity, the outcome, and the tools, or anything that mediates subjects' actions on objects. Also, we may include the community, the conditions of all the other elements of the system, the division of labor, and rules into our recognition of activity systems. When coming into this class, I think that although we knew about the course and what it would cover, we were all at the same time unsure of where we were headed, but excited to explore anyway. In some of our readings concerning genre and activity theory, we learned that these are not really concepts that can be formally taught or explicated. Rather, they have to be experienced in order to fully understand them. Barwashi and Reif explain that because genre is rhetorically and socially dynamic, it cannot really be taught. This kind of understanding implies that genres can't really be explained or acquired through these textual or linguistic means, but they can't really be taken from context just to teach them. Barwashi and Reif also explain that because genre knowledge is a form of situated cognition, it can only really be acquired over time. Genres can't really be defined or taught just through their formal features because how we understand parts of the situation, such as the object, outcomes, or mediational means, and how we use them determines how we see them. They comment that genre knowledge isn't really fully activated or learned until the object or motives are acquired and they actually become real for their users. So, unless the situation and its results are real, we won't fully understand. Formal knowledge just isn't enough. Barwashi and Reif discuss that learning then is more about recognizing situations and relationships in order to orient oneself properly. We need to be immersed in the genre and experience it for ourselves to really learn. Some pedagogical approaches then look more at genre awareness, ethnography, and situated apprenticeship. This connects to our work in this course, and particularly this group project, because we're learning a lot less traditionally in this class. To really learn about genre and activity theory, we needed to examine and experience it for ourselves. Our immersion in LitFest helped us do just this. Through this project, we not only got to examine LitFest as an activity system and the genres it deals with and how it all works, but we also got to reflect on our own group as an activity system, looking at how we work together in all the components of that situation. Working hands-on to apply what we learned from the readings helped to illustrate the concepts to us in more exemplary ways. When first starting to work on our project, we weren't really sure where to start other than collecting documents and doing interviews. We began by gathering as much information as possible, hoping to make sense of and sort through it once we learned more in class and started seeing connections. In our interviews, we asked questions relating to things we might think of in the activity system, but also our discussions brought up a variety of other information. Once we started to get a wealth of information that became a little bit difficult to handle, we again were uneasy about how to sort through it all and begin our work on our presentation. So then we decided to make a diagram of our own group as an activity system to help us see it more clearly. Apart from learning through our own experience, we gathered some of what activity systems in theory were through our readings to help us identify parts of our own system for the project. We began mapping out our own team activity system by labeling ourselves, the LitFest team, and students of Dr. Hilligoss's English 688 course as the subjects, because we were the participants directly involved in working toward the outcome of the system. However, this was the only easy identification. We then went back and forth attempting to list all the factors we thought played a role in the activity system. After group deliberation, we decided on a variety of things for each component of the system. For the object or outcome of our project, there could be a variety of options, although the most important would be to complete the presentation. However, this encompasses a variety of other objectives, such as completing the class and getting university credit for the course. For mediating tools, we attempted to think about all of the possible tools that might intervene in our making and presenting of the project. This includes Prezi, the medium of our presentation, means of planning and communication, such as Google Docs, email, and face-to-face meetings, genre and activities theory scholarship, and the LitFest planning documents we accumulated through our work. Apart from the tools that would mediate our project presentation, we tried to identify all of the environmental factors that would contribute to the community aspect. We determined that these would include the LitFest planning team, our own English 688 class, discourse communities such as those associated with genre and activity theory and professional communication, and Clemson University. All of these groups somehow have a relationship or play a role in influencing our project and presentation in some way. When considering the rules associated with our system, we mainly focus on the restrictions imposed by the course and university, as our main objective was to complete the presentation in class to receive credit. This included the course guidelines, MAPC curriculum, and subject guidelines. We also included our past experiences, time constraints, and access to resources and people involved in LitFest. And finally, we worked on what we considered to be the most important part, the division of labor. This portion helped us to define what we had done so far in the project and who had done it, as well as what we still needed to do and who we could assign these tasks to. This included a variety of completed tasks like communication, interviews, progress reports and summaries, activity system mapping, document collection, planning, and more. Our pending tasks focus more on the project presentation, including organizing the information, making the Prezi, and preparing our presentations. Using this diagram as a whole, we could not only see what we had done and what we needed to do, but all of the other situational elements that factored into our activity system. Mapping out all of this helped us to identify what we had, what was involved, and what we needed to do. Once we had it all laid out, it was a lot clearer where we needed to go in order to achieve our objective of completing the presentation. Mapping our own activity system was really a huge help for this project. Other portions of the process of working on a presentation included a lot of organization and brainstorming. We printed all of our documents into hard copy and laid them out on a table. We then began dividing them up into categories based on whether or not they were internal documents, which coordinated the team in planning, or external documents, which reached outside of the LitFest planning team to other areas. We then divided them up even further into subcategories. Then we drew these out into maps to help us make connections. From here, we went through our interviews and looked at how what they said worked into the connections we found. Using all of these, we looked at the key points that stood out in what we had collected. This work, in combination with the activity system we drew of our own group, is what led to the development of our presentation that we are about to present. On that note, here are Joey and Will.